Arizona Diamondbacks projected last year to finish second to last in the NL West, and then they went on to go to the World Series and be the NLCS champions. So where do they fit in 2024? Let's get into it.
Marte sends one deep to right.
Welcome back to the Touching Bases podcast. As 10,000 of you are returning viewers and like to see these videos, but you don't subscribe. There's only like 3% of you that actually do it. Maybe this time? I'll wait. Today we're talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks. I've been giving way too much love to the San Francisco Giants as far as thinking that the Giants and the Dodgers are the only ones in NL West. Yet last season, my team, the one team that where I just moved away from, went to the World Series, and I haven't spoken much of a word about them. And I've been trying to be more rounded by not picking my favorite teams, and yet I've been talking about the Mariners too much. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper and look back at what happened in 2023 and why they were projected to be so bad last season, and then what changed to make them so good. Lastly, are they better? In 2023, they were expected to have an 81-81 season as far as the record goes, and that is, 500, but not good enough to ever go to the playoffs when you have the Giants and you have the Dodgers in your same division. This 81-81 record would put them in fourth place, right in front of the Rockies, who haven't gone to a World Series in I don't know how long. I wasn't going to even look into that, to be honest with you. During the 2022 offseason, they made a trade for Kyle Lewis with Seattle. They traded the Royals for Emmanuel Rivera. They traded Toronto for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno. And then also they called up Corbin Carroll to do his rookie debut. At this point in time, looking back, 2020 vision, hindsight, this is a solid winning roster. With Ketel Marte as the leadoff, you have Evan Longoria over at third base, a veteran who's been well known for his ability to sustain his bat and also defensive attributes over there at third base. Christian Walker is just a powerhouse at first base, and he really showed himself in what he can do in the 2023 regular season. And you may have even looked at their starting rotation and saw a very strong, memorable, all-star caliber pitcher in Madison Bumgarner. Well, not so much. When the season started, the Dbacks, they called it quits on Bumgarner. After a couple starts, he had an ERA of 10.26. Yeah, at that point, it's not really worth it because every single game he was going into, they lost bad. And because of his payroll and everything, they needed to release him because they really needed a closer pretty bad. And in that doing so, they were able to make a trade with Seattle where they picked up Paul Sewald, who, again, I'm a Diamondbacks fan and I'm a Seattle fan, but man, it was hard to see Sewald get traded away, and I had a pretty big grudge against Jerry Dipoto on that trade. But at least I guess went to the Diamondbacks and gave him an opportunity to go to the World Series, I guess. In return for Paul Sewald, they sent over, though, three really good bats. They sent over the number one prospect in their organization, Ryan Bliss, Josh Rojas, who's now the starting third baseman for the Mariners, and also Dominic Canzone, who's been very controversial on the Mariners side as far as whether or not he's the high enough caliber to play in the outfield, but he did perform pretty well in the second half of the season of 2023. With the bump in their bullpen depth, they still needed to add something to the rotation. Granted, they did have Zach Gallen and they had Merrill Kelly. Having only the two really good pitchers, is only going to get you so far. Typically, you're looking for that first three to be pretty dominant, and then your last two in the rotation to kind of see if they can build themselves up to earn a 1-2-3 spot. Tommy Henry stepped in to fill that gap just because they didn't really have anybody else, and he was performing pretty damn good, to be honest with you. But they also, in their back pocket, had Brandon Pfaadt down in AAA preparing for the end of the season, or if anything happened, any of the other starting pitchers. August 1st, 2023, the Mets and the Dbacks were able to come to an agreement, and Tommy Pham came over from the Mets to fill in a little bit of that batting gap that they had with DH. There's not really any place for him to be put defensively. His glove is not bad, his range is really bad, so that's kind of where they had a stipulation. And honestly, with Gurriel batting a 261 that last season, which is insanely good, I'm so happy that he re-signed for 2024. Corbin Carroll on track and being very obvious to be the number one pick for Rookie of the Year in 2023. Spoiler alert. There really wasn't any place to put him because Alex Thompson Alek Thomas was putting up decent numbers as far as hitting, but then he was also extremely good defensively, and they really needed him out there, at least in right field. The rest is kind of history. We watched the Dbacks in later September just slowly creep their way all the way up, and the biggest competition they had was the Dodgers, who was expecting to destroy them, and that was it. It was just like they had no chance. They were coming in as the last place seed in the playoffs for the NL, and they swept the Dodgers. They swept the Dodgers. And then going on, they were able to knock out the Phillies, which was unheard of. Nobody expected the Phillies to be beaten. They were expecting the Phillies to go to the World Series just with their powerhouse having Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Realmuto, Castellanos, and an elite rotation which had Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, who, by the way, just signed for a crazy extension with the Phillies, which was really impressive. So we'll see, since the Phillies haven't really made many changes and they were extremely good last year. After knocking them out, D-backs went to the World Series, played a crazy hot and just insanely dominant AL Texas Rangers, where unfortunately they weren't able to take it home. I was pretty sad to see that, but with Corey Seager hitting the way he was hitting, and then also seeing Adolis Garcia, which probably is on roids, but I'm not going to say anything about that. That dude is yoked, man. Like, I wish I could get to that point. I'm getting there. I'm not. I'm lifted, but it's not working. Texas was able to take home the trophy, and it's better luck next year. Now, with the Dodgers being such a stacked house, and with the Giants ignoring their pitching, but having also extremely elite bats by adding big names like Jorge Soler and Matt Chapman, I think there is a possibility, since the lineup of the Diamondbacks is so dominant, that they'd be able to outscore the Giants and really take that second place seed. And then when it comes to the Dodgers, it's just a matter of their pitching holding them back. And with Merrill Kelly coming back, Zach Gallen coming back, Brandon Pfaadt earning a number 4 position, according to Fangraphs, in the starting rotation, and then also adding on Erod. Well, that just happened. With also adding Erod to be the number 3 in the rotation, they have officially filled in those gaps as far as elite pitching, where they have 3 guys that are very dominant pitching, and then having Brandon Pfaadt finally gotten to get his chance to be a Cy Young contender as a rookie, because I don't think he qualified based on the starts that he had last season to actually be a rookie. So this could be his rookie year where he can shine. So having a 4 really good and impressive proven pitching for the 2024 season is something I'm really looking forward to, and so should you. And if you're a Dodgers fan, I would say be excited watching the Diamondbacks, because they will probably end up being the ones that take away your threat of the Giants. Personally, I would be happy to see the same thing happen last year. For you guys, this would be your redemption. Now you have Ohtani, now you have Teoscar Hernandez, now you have Yamamoto, now you have Glasnow. Yeah, you guys are stacked, I get it. But it'd be your opportunity to kind of get the Giants out of the way, because I, for some reason, feel like most LA fans are worried about San Francisco more than Arizona, which is fine with me. This offseason has had a lot of changes. Evan Longoria was not re-signed, and he was released because of his performance last year. You also saw Tommy Pham get let go because that was his final year in his contract, and they decided to not re-up with him given how many DHs were available on the free agency. They were able to pick up Jock Peterson to replace him, and then made a trade with Seattle for Eugenio Suarez. And like I said, Erod from Detroit threw a 3.30 ERA with them in 2023, and I am super excited, and I'm hoping that he doesn't have a Madison Bumgarner year this coming season, because he is perfectly placed for the number 3 slot in that rotation. Other than that, we have everybody coming back, and so far they seem to be healthy, but are they better with Rodriguez, Suarez, and Jock Peterson? Yeah, they are. They're a lot better. Let me explain. Last season, Evan Longoria hit a 223, a 318, and a 521 with 11 home runs, 30.8% strikeout rate, and only a 9% walk rate. Every 3 at-bats, he struck out. And when he did hit the ball, his slugging percentage was above 500, which in comparison meant that he hit an extra base about 1 every 5 hits. He was doing pretty good as far as getting extra bases, but it was so rare, it just didn't make sense to extend him, especially since his contract ended. And there's plenty of options on the free agents market, and also available third basemen given the prospects that the Diamondbacks have to trade, which is exactly what they did. Enter Geno Suarez. Came over from the M's. He hit 22 home runs last season, struck out 30.8% of the time, which is exactly the same as Evan Longoria, but he walked 10%, 1% more often, and he slashed a 232, a 323, and a 391. Now you might be asking, his slugging percentage is significantly less and his batting average is only 9% better, but he hit double the home runs and the strikeout rate is the same. So what is the point of this? Why would anybody want to trade for him when there are so many other third basemen that were available? Justin Turner, Matt Chapman, all these guys that were available during the time of this offseason, but they never went after him. So what is the point? Is it just that good of a relationship between the M's and the Diamondbacks? No, actually, you got to dig a little bit deeper, guys. Check it out. As I've stated in previous videos, T-Mobile Park is the worst stadium for batters. It is the hardest place to hit in the MLB. And Gino was able to hit 22 home runs in that stadium last year and even more in 2022. Now entering into a baseball field where it is enclosed all times. There is no marine layer winds coming out from the coast, as T-Mobile Park is facing the most opening right behind the sign. If you guys have never been there, has nothing but cold air coming in from the north, coming from Canada, and it really restricts the balls from actually getting out, not to mention the temperature difference. He is now going down to Arizona, where it is going to be 80 degrees most of the time, if not 100, in an enclosed facility, probably with air conditioning. I honestly don't know their HVAC system and at Chase Field, I have no idea. The dynamics and then the wall distance and everything, it's completely different. If he was able to perform the way he did in Seattle, he's only going to be able to perform 3 times, maybe even 4 times better this year now at Chase Field. This is not just stats. This is just reality and the facts of where you're playing and what you're doing. From 2017 to 2021 in Cincinnati, he hit 26, 34, 49, 15, and 31 home runs in those seasons. For the Seattle, he hit 31 home runs again in 2022. Now, like I said, with that warm climate and it's an indoor field and there's no wind blowing against the balls as a right-hander pulling them to left field, this is a huge upgrade for Arizona, and I think it's going to show based on the location and a lot of other variables other than just his stats. And you guys should all keep that in mind when you see him come to the plate, and keep an eye on him this season, because this is going to make a huge difference. I'm happy for Gino. This is going to be great to have a second wind. I'm going to get his jersey, especially for the Diamondbacks. You guys like my new hat? I got a bunch of new hats. I still haven't got my Orioles one though. What the hell's going on there? Moving on. For Tommy Pham, he hit 16 home runs and struck out 22% of the time, much better than 30%, while he was slashing a 256, 328, and a 446. Not bad, much better than Evan, but for DH, that is way lower than you need to have for a designated hitter. You have one job, and that's to hit the shit out of the ball, and he was not doing that. I said again, he needs to get the crud out of the ball. God, I suck at this. I thought maybe that the Diamondbacks would grab Soler. He hit 36 home runs, I believe, last season in Miami, and going to a less humid and right-handed favored stadium like Chase Field, Soler seemed like the best option. I don't know if it's because the Giants offered him more money. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but I was really hoping for Soler to go to Arizona. Instead, they snagged Jock Peterson, ironically, who played for the Giants last season. While hitting 15 home runs last season in the Bay, he slashed a 235, 343, 441, but only struck out 22% of the time and walked 11% of the time. His WRC plus in 2022 was 146 and sloped down to a 111 in 2023. I have a feeling he's going to bounce back this season. Like I said, I think that Chase Field's much more of a right-handed batter's field, but Jock Peterson is a lefty, and they really needed to add that left-hander dynamic into their lineup, so that might be the reason why they didn't go with Soler. He is in the 96th percentile for hard hit percentage at 52.2% of the time. More than half the time, it's a hard hit. It's going to get into the outfield. It's going to be a line drive. It's either going to be a home run. It's not bloopers. It's not chipped or tapped a certain way. He's putting barrel on the ball and he's making solid contact, which is very promising, because if you can beat the defensive players in some way, if you're able to place that ball, that's going to be key as far as getting runs in and really pushing the Diamondbacks into the playoffs. His career OPS is 800, and he's really good at hitting sinkers with a 672 slugging percentage against sinkers in 2022 and 602 slugging percentage against fastballs. But this was in 2022 when he was doing his best, and I think he can have a comeback year. So that's what I'm focusing on as far as his best ability in the most recent years. Now, it's been 5 years since he went crazy though with his 37 home runs in 2019, but in the last 3 seasons he would have hit +2 with 23 home runs in 2021, plus 4 with 27 home runs in 2022, and plus 3 with 18 home runs in 2023 if he was playing in Chase Field. This is Chase Field factors based on his bat. He would have hit that many home runs in that season if he was playing at Chase Field. So that tells me he is going to be playing and probably hitting a lot better in Arizona versus San Francisco. He is getting older, but I think he will perform. He's been looking super out of shape. If you saw when he played for the Dodgers, he looked fit, he looked athletic, he looked like he was a real baseball player. In the last few years, he's been chunking up quite a bit, and it's not muscle by any means. Hopefully he can utilize that body weight and whatever he's doing with his diet and his regimen to actually push that power into the ball, and he can maintain the contact and it doesn't restrict him in any ways. Let's be honest, he just doesn't look fit. I guarantee you he is probably going to perform a lot better than Tommy Pham, and now that they have a left-hander in there, it does throw a little bit more of a mix-up to add on with Corbin Carroll, and I believe Perdomo's switch hitting. I should probably look into that. I don't know why I don't know that. So now you made it this far in the video, are the Diamondbacks a threat? I hopefully have convinced you, yeah, they're a threat to the NL West, and they should be very dominant, especially since last year they were able to prove it, and they've only made upgrades this offseason. They haven't downgraded, they haven't lost anybody, they're bringing everybody back. This is a very good team, and I am so excited to see them make the playoffs. I needed a fallback because I'm not too sure about the Mariners, especially since their record's 1-7 as of today, but they're better in pitching, they're better in hitting, and now defense is also better, and they're bringing back everybody from last season. So this is going to be excellent, especially now that they have a little bit more range and a better glove over at third base with Eugenio Suarez. I'm going to project the NL West is going to rank from the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Giants, Padres, and then Rockies. Unfortunately, my Padres are probably not going to be in the top 3. I see the Giants beating them out as far as record goes, but this is also very unknown for the Padres because they have a new manager. They have a bunch of new players. They got rid of Soto, cleared some cap space, added some pitching. They lost some pitching, so I don't know how that's going to go. I mean, it's very debatable as far as the Padres for that 3rd and 4th ranking. I don't see the Rockies getting any farther than last place unless they have some breakout year from Blackman and Chris Bryant and all that stuff. But what do you guys think? I mean, leave a comment below. Do you think the Diamondbacks are actually going to be a threat this year, or I mean, are they just they got lucky? I want your opinion. I'm a huge Diamondbacks fan. If you hate the Diamondbacks, tell me why they have no chance and what's going to be holding them back. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you know something I don't. Maybe you're a player and you want to do an interview on the channel, and we can talk, and then I can get some signed stuff, money to replace the thing that fell earlier. Well, I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a fantastic day. See ya.